All right, we're here with Jess, head yogi Jess from Yogi Triathlete, and Mary Knott, who is making her, I don't even know what appearance on the Yogi Triathlete podcast, 50th appearance. She's a regular badass. Actually, and Jess is badass too. So you guys just finished the Noble Canyon 50K here in California yesterday, and you're just coming off a recovery 3-hour hike this morning up a really steep mountain. So, tell us about your day. Let's start with you, Jess.
So it was definitely a course that I love because it was everything. It was single track. You were in the pine trees. It was what I described after the race. The technical sections were like medieval weaponry in disguise as rocks. I mean, there was some really technical spots. So the course was pretty much 15 miles up. And with that up, you're getting up, down, but a net gain on the way up to about 15 miles, and then 15 miles down to Noble Canyon, and then there's a final climb out of Noble Canyon, which I have heard many times from people who have run the SD 100 about the climb out of Noble Canyon. And so yesterday I had a very simple strategy. It was like strong from the beginning and let her rip on the way down, which is totally different than how I felt a couple weeks ago when I was just like, it's just going to be a training day. Like, I'm totally cool with going 9 hours. And but that's never the way I take on a race, because I take on a whole other personality when it comes to race day. I absolutely love it. I really had no mental battle at all. I for sure was risking my life many times. It was messy. I rolled my ankle. I tripped many times and caught myself, like bounced out of some bushes a couple times and just happened to land on my feet, and then took a massive digger at 31 miles. I took a big digger downhill and did not come out unscathed. I either have like a fractured or a bruised rib, but it's totally fine. It's just sensation. And I'm so grateful. The first thing I said when I finished falling was thank you. Like, thank you. That was perfect. That was like a perfect fall. Thank you. I mean, I'm a little rashed up, but nothing big. And yeah, it was about like breaking the bolts yesterday, which I don't know if that's a mantra I really need, because breaking the bolts has never been my issue. Like, it's never been my issue to not go for it. Like, I go for it to the point where I'm going full force without the wheels on. Like, they've already fallen off, but I don't notice that they're gone, and I just keep going. So it was cool. I loved it. I had just a real big attitude of gratitude and joy, and it was tough. It was a really tough, gnarly course that had a lot of beautiful, easeful sections, and to me, that's just life. And so if I can practice that out there on race day and give it my best and see what's possible and break the bolts, then I can do that in life. And so, I love race day as a guide to really how I roll when things get gnarly.
So what can you share? Because people are listening to this, they're like, I wish I could run downhill fast. I wish I could do that. I wish I could not be afraid that I'm going to hit a rock and tumble and fall and break a rib. So how do you get to that point?
Well, it's time on the trails too. So the first year I was on the trails, I was like walking down through technical stuff. Second year, got a little bit better this year. But I see those people who are just bouncing off of the points of these rocks and, an area that is really sketchy, and it's just so beautiful. So that's where I'm going, because as you reminded me last night, Beach, like if I see that, it's in my awareness, like it's definitely in me. And so for me, like that's kind of the goal. I want to be able to have that just graceful pounce downhill, no matter what is in front of me. So it's time on the trails, and then it's the fear factor. I'm not afraid to wreck. I've wrecked so many times on my snowboard, I say snowboarding because trail running and what I tap into when I'm trail running feels very much like what I tapped into when I was a snowboarder. And I loved speed. I loved to go fast. And it's all relative. There's a lot of people out there that are a lot faster than me and a lot of people that are slower. So it's my relative fast. It's never saying, oh, well, I'm not a good runner because I'm going as fast as I can and somebody else passed me or somebody's going more graceful downhill. But it's fear. It's fear for sure. And so if you really start to look at fear and what it's, number one, always ask, like, is it true? Is it true? And, is it serving you? Really start to look at fear, like face fear, and it will cease to trouble you. It will really cease to trouble you. So I love the downhill because for me, it's like, I don't know, I just feel really free. You can't afford to be fearful on the downhill because I think that's going to hold you back. So it's releasing that fear always, everywhere in your life. You won't selectively do it. Like, you will do it across the board if you can release it in one area that you feel fearful.
So on that topic of fear, let's hear what Mary Knott has to say, who has embraced fear straight on, year after year, race after race, sport after sport. And she joined us here in California. So what was the 50K like from your perspective, Mary?
Yeah, yesterday pretty much sucked a lot, but it was fun. It was a fun experience to watch.
We want to hear what sucked.
Oh my God, all of it. I hated it. I hated every step of it. Every bit of the 31.9 miles or whatever it was. And it's fine. I don't have to love everything. Like, I signed up for this race not knowing a single thing about it, and it's just, yeah, I didn't love it. But it was fun because I literally, for 21 and a half miles, had this like battle with my ego going on in my head. And I'm watching it because I'm aware now. And so instead of just blindly going along with what my ego is telling me, I'm seeing the conversations inside my head.
What was What was the conversation?
Oh, it was, everything. It was, I was ready to drop out and quit at the mile 23 aid station. I didn't love the trails. It's super rocky. It's super rocky. It's very technical. The scenery was beautiful. I'll give you that. Like, there were definitely some points where I would come around a corner and be like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Like, take your breath away. It was beautiful. But this particular trail system is not my jam. I want a nice pine-covered single track through the forest. I am so scratched up from like the plants that we're bushwhacking through and the rocks. It's like someone took every rock in the state of California and like blew them up and then like littered them around this trail system for us to run through yesterday. And it was like, that's not fun. I didn't love it. So I was like feeling pretty miserable. And then the ego is like, well, you were pretty good at triathlon and you're not bad at the swimming thing. Like, maybe you should forget the 100K and the 100 miler that you said you wanted to do. Like, maybe this isn't your thing. You should probably go back to doing something that you're like okay at. And that's not the conversation you want to be having inside your head when you have 100K in 5 weeks from now. So
the Heavenly 100, which you both are doing.
Yes.
So because you have had that strong triathlon career and you've had the strong swimming career so far, did you come up against the same thing in your resistance? Like, how am I ever going to get to Kona? Like
in Ironman?
Ironman or in swimming, like, how am I ever going to swim this 5 days straight or whatever that swim experience was like?
And I think my build through Ironman was so long. I was literally in the sport for 5 years before Kona ever came into my awareness. And then it was another 2 years after that before I was like, okay, I want to like try to go for this. And then it was another 2 years before I qualified. So it was like, it was such a long process that like, I just never, there were ups and downs, but it never like phased me really that it was taking me so long to improve. And I think, honestly, when I look at it, I'm like, I have been running trails. I was an ultra runner before I started triathlon, but I haven't run on trails in so long. And I've only been running on trails since May. Like literally, 4 months? like, dude, take a fucking chill pill. Like, you don't have to be great right now. You got time.
I think that's great for people to hear, because you have that history though, and the history in the mind is like, you can be at the top. Like, why is this so challenging right now?
Yeah.
Like, why is this so tough? And then you got to reel yourself back in and just be like, well, I'm so grateful just to be out here on the trail running and performing and doing something you love. Maybe not on the ideal terrain that you love, but you're doing something you love that's connecting with you right now.
Yeah.
So how did you get over that hurdle at mile 21 and a half?
It was freaking awesome. So first of all, like, and Jess and I were talking about this today a little bit on our hike, but there were some things I did in the, this week that were not ideal. I picked up a little respiratory thing, and I don't think I fueled very well in the few days prior to the race. And I went a little bit too hard in the first 8 miles, but somewhere like right before the halfway point, I was like, gosh, I feel like I just need to eat a pizza. Like, I need some calories. And I was trying my best. I was eating as much as I could. And, but I was like in this like moment where I'm like super dizzy. I'm like feeling like I could pass out at any moment. And it was somewhere around 21 and a half miles. And I was like, I literally was going to drop out at the 23-mile aid station. So I was like, I just got to get there. And Jess came running up from behind me, and she hollered my name. So I stepped off the trail and turned around to high five her as she went by. And like our hands like barely even made contact, because I don't know, whatever. Like I was delirious. Like, we barely made contact, but it was this instantaneous infusion of energy. And the way I described it to her last night was like, I had been like inside the ego, the small self, like all day long, like hearing this like small self voice in my head all day long. And when she came by, my higher self like recognized that vibration and just like stepped right in and was like, okay, I'm taking over. We're done with this like nonsense that's been going on all day. We're flipping this bitch around. And it was like literally instantaneous. I felt better. And I just like hopped in right behind Jess and took off running, and it was fine. I was fine. And I didn't enjoy the rest of the trail. I mean, it's not like I was like, oh, this is so fabulous. It was like, no, I still hated the next 10 miles, but at least I wasn't having this conversation in my head anymore.
That's so like fruitful for everyone to understand. You didn't take any extra nutrition. You weren't going back and thinking about any particular workout session or training session you did to pull you out of it. It was human contact, and it was a mindset shift. Simple mindset shift. And yeah, your body wasn't like, yeah, this is great, like it's going to be easy. It was a mindset shift to be like, be here right now, just keep moving.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to get to the finish line. And I kept telling myself, because when the ego is like trying to convince me I should give up trail running, I was like, you know what? Just because I don't like this trail doesn't mean that I don't love trail running. And the reason that I picked Tahoe to be my first 100-miler, hopefully, it's a lottery system, so we'll see. But the reason that I picked that is because it does speak to me. And I love that trail system. And I know that when I'm out there and it's horrible, it's going to be one less thing that's terrible about it.
Because you love
because I love it
scenery
so much.
And the terrain.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, guys. I want to keep this short, but quickly tap upon nutrition. What was your nutrition like for running? You can give us the cliff notes.
They had Tailwind on course, which was great for me because I use Tailwind in training. So I started the day with a hydration pack with water and 2 small 10-ounce bottles of Tailwind, and then I had gels. So
that was basically it. No real food.
I ate
like potatoes,
a few Pringles at some of the aid stations, and like a bite of a Payday candy bar. And that was it.
Jess?
I did about 6 bottles of Goo Roctane. So that's 250 calories a bottle. I took 2 gels, one right at the beginning, and one at about mile, I want to say like 15 when I was starting the downhill, and I took the cold brew coffee. Oh, so good. And then at aid stations, there's so much poison at the aid station. Like, there's so much shit there, like Twizzlers. How is that even going to benefit you, Twizzlers? So I grabbed watermelon. My jam was watermelon, pickles, and banana. Banana towards the end because I was starting to feel like, okay, I need to pump in some calories because I'm putting out a big effort to get through and out of Noble Canyon. So there's this little out and back section, and I grabbed some bananas because I just know that bananas spiritually are very powerful foods, but also like they were going to give me everything I needed and that I could trust it in my belly. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I did BCAA capsules, 4 before the race, 2 every hour, and after the race as well to aid in the recovery. And that's it. I didn't really have any issues. Definitely, it was hot in Noble Canyon, like in the canyon towards the end. And so there were times where I was like Mary said, like kind of feeling like, ooh, a little woozy, like, okay, I gotta stop pushing. And then I would say like, oh, I'm gonna walk for 2 minutes. I'm gonna give myself 2 minutes. And then I would look down, it was 30 seconds. And I was like, all right, let's go. I'm good to go. So allowing yourself to, I was seeing things, I was definitely hallucinating. I saw a doctor's coat, like a person in a doctor's coat in the woods, and a woman, a witch. I saw a lot of different things, and none of them that were true. So I think it's important to give yourself a break if you need it, but if you're pushing and you're starting to hallucinate, like my vision was definitely blurry, to stop. But it might not be as long as you think before you can pick it back up again.
Awesome. All right, guys. So we're going to see you. We should do this again. We'll do this again after the Javelina 100 because that's the both next race for you both, right?
Yeah, we might do a
full one? 100K. Your first 100K, Mary?
First 100K.
Jess,
Yep.
your first 100K?
First 100K.
Boom. Thanks, guys.